So here we have a composite object. We need to find the volume. First of all, what shapes do you see? Cylinder. And hemisphere. Wow, perfect. So when we go to write it out, our entire volume, we're going to have to take the volume of the cylinder and add it to the volume of the hemisphere. So if you don't have these memorized, go to your formula sheet and see, can you find volume of cylinder on there? Find on your formula sheet where it says pi r squared times height. And for the volume of the hemisphere, well, a full sphere would be 4/3 pi r cubed, and then you're going to have to take that and divide it by 2. Does it make sense how I wrote it there? Okay? Yes. So you could, if you can do the math already, yes. This is equal to 2/3 pi r cubed. And if you can do that mental math, great. If you want to write the whole thing in, right, this is more complicated to type into your calculator with the 2 on the bottom. But with that fraction button, it can be done quite easily. Okay? If you already know that you can simplify 4/3 divided by 2 to 2/3, perfect, because that'll make it even easier. Now we have to look at our object to make sure we don't have to do any additional math before we plug things in. In order to find the volume, the variables on the right side of the equation that we need are the radius and the height. Are we given that information? Looks like we are. We got the height of the cylinder is 32, and the radius of both the cylinder and the hemisphere is 18. So what you'd type into your calculator is pi. Instead of the radius, you'd write 18 squared times the height of 32 plus, I'm going to write the 2/3 pi. The radius is 18 cubed. So you can see you can even put fractions inside in the middle. Once you get used to that fraction button, you might start to use it more and more. So it looks exactly as we've written it. Push enter. And it's approximately 44,780. Does it have a rounding thing for us here? To the nearest tenth, 86.5 centimeters cubed. Okay. Can't remember from the homework or not. Sometimes you can get questions like this where it looks exactly the same. However, at the end, instead of centimeter here, it says nearest cubic meter. But all your measurements are in centimeters. Okay, so that's one thing that I always check at the end of the question. Were my units the same throughout the whole question? Because now that we've done each of these things separately, we could put a question together which combines our understanding of conversions with our understanding of volume. Let's say these were in inches, and they said to the nearest cubic centimeter. So you'd have to change everything in inches to centimeters first, and then do the math. So those kind of things happen. So at the end, I just do a quick check. Were all my units the same all the way throughout? In this case, since they were all centimeters all the way throughout, and my final answer was asked for in centimeters, perfect. I'm done. But if it wasn't, I'd have to go back and do some conversions. Sometimes I do that right at the beginning. Because if you do all the work and then find out at the end, oh, I had to do conversions, you basically have to start over. So it's not a bad thing to do at the beginning to check if all of our units are the same.